Joyce Vance, because I follow you on Twitter, my phone was physically hot to the touch late tonight after the Dershowitz argument. Explain to the good folks what it is he argued at the risk of repetition and your view of it where it bumps up against actual law.
Well, this is what Karine is referencing. It's this notion Dershowitz now has, which I think is the full-blown expansion of Bill Barr, the Attorney General's expansive, powerful unitary executive. And this is its ultimate expression, that the president can do anything to get reelected if that's in the public interest. So when you're trying a jury case and the jury goes back to deliberate, the judge often reminds them that they don't have to leave their common sense at the door as they evaluate evidence. We're all now so deep down into the trees that we're not seeing the forest. But if we take a step back and use our common sense, arguments like Dershowitz's really fall apart. These people in the Republican Party are contorting themselves to find a way of justifying the president. And they're now saying things that we know if we use our common sense are ridiculous. Because a president can't, for instance, go out and engage in voter suppression, right? He can't tell his militia buddies, go take your AK-47s and stand outside of a polling place and make Democrats afraid to vote. Under Dershowitz's version of the law, that would be okay. We know it's not. Our common sense tells us this can't be American justice.
A member of our staff prepared some video because of the number of people who were reminded of a callback to a different president in a different era.
If a president does something which he believes will help him get elected in the public interest, that cannot be the kind of quid pro quo that results in impeachment.
I have an Article 2 where I have the right to do whatever I want as president.
When the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
And Joyce, that last bit from the famous David Frost interview, which when Nixon said it, jaws dropped.
So I'm actually old enough to remember when that happened.
I'm right there with you.
The conversation right around my family dinner table. And, you know, it's no less shocking now as an adult, so many years later. I'm sure that you were an adult. I was still a child. But it's no less shocking. I mean, I think we're all laughing because, frankly, this is such a dark moment that you have to try to do something to keep yourself from crying. This is what this president is now saying through his lawyers.
Can we drill down on this parallel for a moment?
Sure.
Because the full clip of that interview is specifically around the notion David Frost is pushing Richard Nixon, saying, you're saying that the president of the United States could orchestrate a burglary. And Richard Nixon actually says, burglary may be a crime per se, but the president has to be allowed discretion to permit these types of behaviors if he believes it's in the national interest. What we saw today was exactly that moment. You know, Donald Trump said he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. The nation received that message as though, oh, Donald Trump says he could get away with a crime. What he did today through Dershowitz, as his counsel said, if I shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, it's not a crime. He wasn't saying I can get away with a crime. He's saying it's not a crime. This was a dramatic evolution of the president's defense. Adam Schiff pled with the senators to recognize this moment. I think it fell on deaf ears on most of the Republican side of the aisle.
Clint Watts, your role in our discussions is often to speak on the side of the IC, the broader intelligence community. Another expression from the 60s is the whole world is watching. Well, the whole world is watching right now.
Yeah, it's remarkable how we've fallen, I think, in terms of our global picture. I've got this team, we're tracking all sorts of state-sponsored propaganda. The number one topic relentlessly is impeachment. Just battering Americans for how sad this is, that you have people that would break the law, that there isn't true democracy, that this is going to go to a vote that we already know the result of. They use this as ammunition that our democracy is at fault and that you really shouldn't trust or have faith in it. I think the other part of it is our standing in the world has slipped so far, particularly at key points. I think we might talk about Huawei later, but that our allies in Europe would maybe go towards China because they're seen as a reliable partner. When we talk about the Iran deal or building the Iran deal, John Bolton is the national security advisor trying to build those coalitions. They struggled to do that because we were not seen as somebody that was consistent and could be trusted. And when you look at how this really shakes out afterwards, I think all of the allies around the world look to us and say, well, on a coin toss, you might change your mind in 4 years. I'm I'm going to go to a country that's reliable, that's not tearing itself apart, and it's not embarrassing itself on the world stage.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.